I was in between jobs, didn't know what I wanted to do, and was like, can I volunteer? And from that volunteering, I ended up being on the board with that organization for like 4 years.
Wow.
And it changed my whole culinary life. Like it really did. So.
Welcome to Dishin Up Diaspora, where we explore how food connects us to culture, history, and each other. I'm your host, Chef Emmy. This episode is sponsored by Taste Bahia, a transformative 6-day culinary journey through Salvador Bahia. Experience Afro-Brazilian cuisine and culture through hands-on cooking workshops, visits to historic sites, and vibrant local markets. This is more than just a tour. It's a deep dive into the heart of Bahia, where food, people, and traditions come together. To learn more and get yourself on the waitlist, visit chefemmy.com/taste-bahia. That's chefemmy.com/taste-BAHIA. I want to take a moment and welcome those of you back who've been tuning in to Dishin Up Diaspora, and also welcome to any newbie. Please be sure that you are subscribing to the podcast wherever you're listening to, or if you're watching on YouTube. Also follow us on Instagram at Dishin Up Diaspora Podcast, and follow me on Instagram at chefemmy_. Also, I started a Patreon channel, and it's completely free to join. So head over there and join my Patreon community at Chef Emmy TV. All right, today I have a very special guest in the house. Chef Kristi Brown is a distinguished chef with over 28 years of experience. Renowned for her dedication to community building through food, she began her career at several Seattle kitchens and eventually founded That Brown Girl Catering in 1999 and relaunching as That Brown Girl Cooks in 2012. In December 2020, Kristi co-founded Communion R&B with her son Damon. The restaurant quickly gained national acclaim, earning spots on Condé Nast Traveler's 12 best new restaurants in the world and the New York Times the 50 places in America we're most excited about right now list in 2021. Chef Kristi's excellence has been widely recognized. She was a semifinalist for the James Beard Awards in 2022 and 2024, nominated for Best Chef Northwest and Pacific. Additionally, Seattle Magazine honored her as one of the most influential people of 2021. In October of 2024, Chef expanded her culinary ventures by launching Lil Brown Girl, a quick service restaurant. Chef Kristi, a Seattle icon. Welcome.
Oh, it's so funny listening to all of that.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's like when you hear all of your accomplishments back, it's great. I was just talking about that with somebody. It's like we need to stop and recognize what we have done.
It's
because
a big deal.
We have done a lot.
It's true.
You have done a lot.
It's
so
true. Yeah.
Giving you your flowers today.
I'll take them.
Before we dive deep into your story, I like to start with a little thing I call a quick dish, where I'm gonna say two things and you pick whichever one of the two speaks to you the most.
Okay.
No right or wrong answers. Okay. Sweet potato pie or peach cobbler?
Peach cobbler.
Gumbo or pho?
Ooh, pho.
Oh, okay.
Pho.
Cornbread or biscuits?
Biscuits.
Heavy cream or coconut milk?
Right now, coconut milk.
Okay. Cast iron skillet or Dutch oven?
Cast iron.
Awesome.
I like that.
Okay.
That was hard. Gumbo and
okay. I wasn't
hard.
okay. I guess it depends on the mood. It depends on what mood
for
you're
sure.
in. And they're both delicious.
I'm a broth girl, so
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, Chef Kristi, I had no idea you were born in Kansas City.
Yes.
How were you raised there at all, or just...
I moved here when I was 15.
Okay,
so
you grew up. Okay.
A little bit.
Is that like barbecue? Is that Kansas City?
Yeah,
barbecue?
Kansas City is barbecue, smoky, sauce later, not necessarily always on.
Yeah.
I
kind of like that because, being Brazilian, we don't do like a lot of sauce. Like our meats are kind of like just like a dry, like honestly, like salt and pepper.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think I'd like that. Kind of just sauce on the
I
side.
like it. I'm just not like a huge. I was just talking about this earlier. I'm not a huge barbecue person.
Really?
I do like smoky things, but you
Yeah.
know, like every once in the summer.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So where did food start showing up in your life? Like was it in your childhood or did
Always.
you? Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
I don't really think that I can separate it.
Yeah.
I think for me, when I think of early memories, it's always food and sex. Like that's it's always been like that's been a core thing for me because I was always super curious when I was little.
Yeah.
So it was just always like, oh, what feels good? What sounds good?
Yeah,
You know?
nice. And so, like at home, were you doing the cooking? Was the
My dad
parent?
was our
Okay.
major cook.
Wow.
So I spent a lot of time with him in the kitchen. My grandmother was an amazing cook.
Yeah.
My mom, she made a couple of really good things.
Okay.
Meatloaf,
Yeah.
fried chicken, mashed potatoes.
Okay, those are
Bam.
some good, like, essential things.
Yeah, nobody was
to know.
mad. Nobody, no, yeah.
I love it. And then you moved to Seattle.
I
and
did.
Kind of like,
I did. And my dad, like, he really was a big part of my culinary. My mom introduced me to fancy foods. Like,
Okay.
she was like, you know, come on, let's go to this place.
Yeah.
Let's have this fancy cheese. And that was good. Like, but my dad was like since he was the one cooking for the family, like he would go grocery shopping, and I was just always just like super into grocery shopping.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. So
I hate grocery shopping.
Do you?
Like as a private chef, like just I feel like
that's different.
I can't.
Yeah, that's
like
different.
get out of my way. People are so slow, and it's
Right.
just the cashiers
know
want
what
to
you want.
conversate, and I'm like, I'm here to
Well,
work.
see, like we weren't shopping in places like
Okay.
that. Like we're going to all of like the Asian grocery stores
Yes.
because we loved meat and vegetables. That was just what I grew up on.
Yeah.
You know, especially being from Kansas City, like
Mhm.
beef all day, pork all day, you know,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And so then when we moved here, there's a wonderful city market in Kansas City for sure. And going back to visit, it's always interesting because every country I go to, no matter what, everybody has cabbage, tomatoes, carrots, and onions. You know,
Yeah.
and so I was just like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I kind of want to explore that a little bit.
Yeah.
But when we got up here, though, we just going to the Asian markets.
Yeah.
It was like all these different green vegetables. Love green leafy vegetables. So it's like just super exciting. And so he would experiment. He would fall in love with something. I always like laugh because he loved bamboo shoots. And
Oh, really?
yeah, and it was like, Dad, like, it's okay. You did it. You tried. You did.
Yeah, I love it. So did you like right off bat like knew you were going to culinary school, or did you try a different career at first?
No, not at all. When I was 13, I love to tell this story, but I have to chuckle because my brother like hates this story,
Oh,
so it's super funny.
Sorry, brother.
So he was graduating from University of Missouri Columbia, and while like he was in school, he just realized that he was drawn to music and he loved it, and he decided in his senior year to change his major. And my dad and my mom were both educators, so like they were super irritated, and I think they were irritated with themselves more than him. Like I think my family's always been like, you know, pursue what you love kind of thing, but for him it was very like jarring and everything. So when he came back home from visiting my brother, he was like, look, you need to decide what you're gonna do with your life. So he sent me to the library, and he made me do a research project on what I wanted to do, and I had to write a paper.
And you were 13.
I was 13.
He's like, we're not doing this again.
Right,
You
exactly.
Pick right now.
Pick right now. And I was like, well, you know, the librarian was like, well, okay. Well, let's go to the card catalog. And she was like, what do you like to do? And I was like, I like to eat and kick it with my friends. And yeah, that's what I like to do. And she was like, okay, well, that could be hospitality.
Okay,
I love librarians for that. And so that's what I did. My favorite TV show was Hotel with Sherry Belafonte. And yeah, that was it.
Love it.
And so I always have done cooking. I've had very minimal jobs outside of food.
Wow. Okay. So then you went to Seattle Culinary Academy. Was it
I
Seattle
did.
Culinary Academy still back then?
No.
It was like, okay.
Yeah. No.
But shout out to
I know.
Seattle
Shout
Culinary
out.
Academy.
Woo, that's our
Yes, it is. How was that experience back in?
It was cool.
Okay, good.
It was cool. It was Chef Linda. She was there. She's no longer there, but she was seriously strict. And so our first semester, she was like, listen, if you're not in this for the right reason, I'm going to spend the next like 2 to 3 weeks making sure that you leave soon. Like, seriously. And people were like literally after her first speech, like a couple of people got up and walked out the room.
Oh,
So like I appreciated that because it was
Yeah.
like, okay, no, like I'm here. And I went through the program, and I was a single mother. Damon was like a year and a half, 2 years old.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
You know, it was a lot going on, but I knew that that's what I wanted to do, so I wasn't going to let anything deter me from that.
Yeah, I love that. And so did you open your catering company right after that?
No,
Okay.
no. Because my whole point, like, I was going to go to Howard, get my hotel restaurant management
Okay.
program degree, and then transition into culinary. So, like, I had to
Okay.
flip the script because I got pregnant. So I was like, okay,
Yes.
new plan.
New plan. That's so funny. Okay. Well, not funny, but like I just recently did another interview, and we were so different. We're both Brazilians, but we're so different. But like somehow our stories have like similarities with it. And actually, I graduated high school and was going to Howard and had to come home 2 weeks after going to Howard because I was pregnant.
There you go.
And then I came back and went to culinary school. So
there you go. Oh, that's so good.
I know.
Look at that. Hey.
Right. Yeah.
That's so funny. You know, that's how it's
so I can relate.
That, yeah.
Yes.
But I held out. Like, I was like, I'm not going home. So I waited. And
you
then finally my mom was like, okay, girl. All right, you try.
Yeah. I don't even know what I just, this is over. I got to come home.
Yeah.
It's what I thought.
Yeah.
You know?
I was like, I'm not going.
Oh, man.
But I love Seattle now. But back then,
yeah,
you know, it was just like, I had something to prove. And so I went through the program. It was amazing. Had wonderful opportunities, wonderful chefs. You know, really am grateful for that time period.
Yeah.
Because you just don't get that kind of time with chefs, you know, once you get out of the industry.
Yeah.
You're kind of on your own. So it was a blessing.
Yeah. Okay, but then you did open that Brown Girl Catering is what it was.
I did. So I worked at Plenty when I first graduated. It was a beautiful store up in Madrona, led by Chef Jim Watkins, and he was co-owner with two other people. Was a wine, cheese, and deli in the daytime, and then at night it was a restaurant. And that's where I met Chef Tracy McCrae, and she had left there to go open Kingfish, and so I heard about that, was super excited about it, but I was committed to being there. But then I got fired, and so I had to go work at Kingfish because I needed a job. No, it was wonderful. I worked there with the girls for probably about 2 years.
Yeah,
did that. Worked a little bit for Nordstrom, and then I think I worked for a company, and it was just a horrible experience. And I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing with your life? What are you going to do? I had taken a break, and my girlfriend was like, hey, we need some catering at Nordstrom. And I was like, oh, okay, let me do this. So it was a side hustle.
Okay.
I did it for my church. I was a caterer for my church for a long time. And then in 96, I started that Brown Girl Catering. Yeah.
Nice. And then fast forward all these years, you open Communion Restaurants.
Yeah, a lot of fast forwarding, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and everything. I was going through a divorce at the time, and Damon had come home to visit. He was living in D.C. He went to Howard as well. And he came back, and he was just like, man, you know, you look kind of jacked up. You know, what would it do for the business if I came home? And I was like, and he always would help. Like when he was in high school, like he and my family helped out a lot, you know, as they have to. Like they would come out of school on breaks and do prep and all kind of stuff. And so when he got to college, he was in a business program, and like he said that his first week, somebody was like, yo, dude, like your mom owns a whole business. What you doing here? Like, and I think it didn't mean anything to him until he really got into the industry. And he was just like, yeah, what am I doing here?
Right.
And so he came home, and that's when the growth happened. And he grew that Brown Girl Cooks. And then we were only doing hummus at the time when he came back. But then he started doing catering again because I just couldn't do all of the things, right? And we kept getting offers of different places to open up the restaurant. But you're like, yeah, this doesn't feel good. But this felt right.
Nice.
So, Yeah.
That's awesome. But the hummus, let's like kind of like rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
You did a black eyed pea hummus.
Yes.
Does that product still exist?
Yeah, we still make it. We're not at the grocery stores.
Yeah.
We're going to be working on relaunching.
Okay.
You know, hopefully later
that's
this year.
A whole other beast.
It is.
You know, like,
and that's the interesting thing about like that Brown Girl Cooks. I feel like it just keeps birthing new ideas.
Yeah.
And it's really great to see, especially when I'm not the one carrying it on. Like, it's like, that's a big, huge part of what I love about where we're at right now, is that I can see so many people having that light, having that inspiration, having someone they could come to talk to about what they have going on in their career. And with all of the acclaim, it also is so wonderful because I'm like, yo, this is for you guys.
Yeah.
Like, what can you see me on stage talking to somebody, like, you want to talk to them? Let me know. Like, that's not a big deal.
Absolutely.
And I think we need more of that.
Absolutely. We really do. I feel like I remember when I was a culinary student, you know, just like, people like telling us to like find a mentor. And it was really hard especially back in that day to like to find a mentor, you know, like how do you go about that? You know what I mean? So like, what advice would you give someone, you know, like young person, how to approach somebody like Chef Kristi Brown?
You got to be patient.
Yeah.
You have to be patient. Like, I know, like, for me, it's like, my heart is there, but if you don't work for us, it's really difficult. You know, I think you can get a little bit more of my time in that way.
Yeah.
But I think it's just, one, being patient, and then two, just being persistent. Like, we're busy.
Right.
And we probably all got short attention spans. And, like, you know, it's you gotta kind of do the work to catch up, but it's worth it because it's like, honestly, I was thinking the other day about how I was in between jobs, didn't know what I wanted to do, called Chef Wayne, and was like, can I volunteer? And from that volunteering, I ended up being on the board with that organization for like 4 years.
Wow.
And it changed my whole culinary life. Like, it really did. So.
Wow.
You never know. You just got to be persistent.
Consistency.
Yeah, and be willing to work for free.
Yeah.
We love that.
We do.
We do.
But it pays off in the end.
It does. Yeah. And I mean, like, you have to be willing to make the sacrifice to be in this industry. So if you're not willing to work for free, then you probably are not going to last for long.
Right. Yeah. Man, you just have, like, you've built such a dynamic business. I don't even know, like, which direction I want to go into. I feel like this needs to be like a 3-parter. Okay, let's talk about Commune, because I feel like it's, you know, huge. You know, you opened it December 2020.
Yes. Dun, dun, dun,
dun, dun, dun, dun. Wow. Tell me about that experience. And it's about to be 5 years old.
It is
a milestone.
5-year anniversary.
Wow.
Yes, it was a true undertaking. But like, one of the things about this road and that's been interesting for me is that, like, I'm just doing what I love. Like, literally, like, I'm like doing what I love. And the accolades and all that is so wonderful. But it's like, you know, you're in the moment doing what you love. So the ideal of what's happening doesn't really land all the time, you know? So we were working on the plans. Everything was pretty much set. It was supposed to open in April of 2020. Then I got set back really quick. And then it was like July. And then people were like whispering, like, hey, I hear, you know, there's this illness going around. And that was kind of like the thing. And so then we're still doing catering at the time.
Okay.
And it's funny because we were planning it. We hired my assistant. She got hired like March the 4th. And then March the 7th is when we got the call, because, well, I always tell people caterers got the first call because we had to stop publicly events.
Yeah, all the gatherings, no gathering.
Right. And that was the first thing. Like, what do you mean? So we was just thinking, okay, it's going to be a couple of days. And then it was like, hold up, it's not going to be a couple of days. Well, the thing was, we had a job for 650 people, which is huge for us. Like, our sweet spot's like 150, 200 maybe.
Wow, so
but like, it was
really
like
huge,
huge dinner at Soto, Showbox. Like, we were like getting ready. We had everything.
No,
we were
had
prepped.
all the food.
Yeah, we had all the food and everything.
Wow.
Right. So we froze everything we could. And then the clock was ticking on the fresh stuff. And then that's when we were like, let's just do like a community kitchen. And I didn't know anything about like a wave of community kitchens. I think that's the thing I love about what we do. Is like our heart is to give and feed people.
Yeah.
For real.
That is
like, and so it was the natural thing to do. So we told people we're giving away this food.
Yeah.
Come with your masks. Take this food.
Yeah.
We did it. Melissa was doing it of Musang. Several others. She had worked with Chef T. He was doing it. So it was like, okay, let's get together and let's do it. And so we did, and it was an amazing opportunity to feed folks. So we're doing that. Still doing some kind of catering.
Yeah.
It was kind of wild, like delivering to people's houses. Like we were just doing all kind of stuff. And then we had to keep construction going.
Wow. Yeah.
And they worked around a grueling schedule. So shout out to Metis Construction. They were amazing. And they got the project done. And we were done maybe in October. And then we did our first like run through the end of November. And then December we opened.
And people could go.
People could
dine in at that point. Right?
Yeah, they could. No.
It was just takeout.
They were out on the takeout and on the patio.
That's right.
So we had like huge patio. We were super busy.
Oh, wow.
And it was insane. It was a lot going on professionally and personally. We were dealing with a family death, right? Like maybe the week after we opened, my brother had passed away from COVID. Wow. Like it was just a lot going on. And it was just like, throwing balls and trying to catch them.
It's like, it's so weird when these things happen, when like great things happen simultaneously with like the worst things happening and kind of having to coexist in that like space in between. Like, how do you even do that?
Yeah.
You know?
I don't think the body keeps the score.
Yeah, you know, for sure.
I think that's a big thing. And it's like, you think you may have gotten out of it, but the truth of the matter is like, it's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. It's going to come out. So you just got to be able to, you know, taking the moments to make sure that you know what's going on, what's happening, and how it's affecting you. Yeah. And then being able to get the support system you need to be able to take care of yourself. Yeah.
Very important. I feel like as women, as Black women, and even like in this industry, it's really hard on your mind, your body, and everything. And you really have to like put yourself first. I feel like, especially with catering, it's like we have this mentality of like, we have to say yes to we don't know when the next job is coming. So it's like, yes, you know, and it's really important to keep the score of like how your body is doing and pause. And it's okay to put yourself first and take a beat or just, you know, find an alternative.
Say no.
Yeah, say no.
A lot.
Yes, say no a lot. You hear that?
I do. Like, I think that's a big deal. Like, I'm like, first of all, people need to be respectful of what they're asking for. Like, you're asking for a piece of me. Like, that costs something. You know, my time, my energy, and it costs money. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I think that in this industry, because we're so geared towards giving, we're like, oh, we'll just give whatever. You need that? Here, take this. Take this scarf. Take this. Oh, you need. No. Go get your own scarf.
I love it. Yeah, for me it took a while to, especially working like as a private chef and like in people's home and kind of that's just different. Like service. You know, I'm there to serve you, you know, and then from that to catering, which is again your people's special events and stuff like that. It is really hard.
Yeah, private chef.
I know.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am, no spam. It's
not
so
for
much.
Everyone.
It's so much.
Did you ever do?
I did. Okay. I did a few times, and no. Because I'm in your home and I'm a fixture.
And exactly.
You hired me for a reason and I get it and I appreciate you.
Yeah. You know, it's really interesting because it's like the food industry. You can go so many different directions. Private chefing, catering, like, or just like food writing, not even in the kitchen at all. Exactly. You know, you have a catering company, you've done private chefing, you have a restaurant. You have like a quick service restaurant too. Yeah. Like what would you say?
Yeah. I've done all the things. I've done quite a bit.
What would you say is like your favorite? If you'd had to pick.
I don't know. I don't think I can.
It's just
I don't think I can. It's because it's really about the people. Like I'm really interested in the development of people. Yeah. And so it's like, and then my message around like the self-care thing, that's huge. And I think that like goes through all of these different places. It's like, okay, like we have somebody out right now and they hurt themselves. Okay. They could come back. I could probably be like, yo, this is your job, come back. But it's like, yeah, how about you go to physical therapy? Now, I'm telling you this, and that means I might have to work. Me.
Yeah.
I don't want to work like that. Yeah. That's not my job. So it's like, why do I do that? Because I know, one, it's like their existence is not based on them working. That's not, they need sometimes people, especially in this industry, again, need guidance to say no. Yeah. And that's not something that people are going to do. Sometimes I need to say no for you. Yeah. So it's like that part of the development of relationships is super important to me because I know that if I take that stand in their lives, then hopefully they'll take that stand for themselves. And I've heard it enough when they come back and say, hey, thank you so much because I just thought this was the way it was supposed to be. Right.
I love that. Yeah. Breaking that. Because I absolutely agree that saying no is very, very important. And for me, it was like really scary too, you know what I mean? Because it's like, you don't know what's going to be, if it's still going to be there when you're ready to come back. And it's okay if it's not. Right. Maybe it just wasn't meant for you.
Especially right now, because there's a lot going on in the world. Yeah. Right. Oh, and it's like, all money's not good money. Every opportunity is not good. Yeah. All the exposure, maybe you're exposing me to, customers that I actually really don't want to serve. Like there's a space in there that continues, and it doesn't get any easier just because you set that precedence of that's what you want to do. Yeah. So.
How would you, because for me, I feel like I just started learning how to listen to like just that gut, that like little tiny thing that's like, it tells you that this is probably not a good thing that you're doing and you're probably going to regret it, but we've been kind of like trained to like push that aside and just like do it anyways. I've been doing so much work to undo that and really be like, pause, like let me listen to this little voice and let me think about future Emmy. Is future Emmy gonna like appreciate having listened to this like little voice? And most of the time, yes, she does, because I'm like, man, whew, gosh, that would have sucked.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what advice, do you give to, especially like the young folks kind of like with that hustle mentality?
Meditate, dog. You gotta shut up.
Yeah.
You gotta shut up and be awake. Can you be quiet? Like literally, if you can't be still for more than 3 seconds, that's telling you something. Yeah. Now you gotta decide what it's telling you, right? But it's like, for me, I think that meditation has been such a source of like building myself because it's like, because then I have to listen.
Yeah. To that little voice. Yeah.
And it's always talking. It's always talking. So it's like giving myself permission is a big deal, to be still and give myself that kind of time. Because I used to like, when I was younger, it was like, I get up and run out the door. Yeah. Like I was gone. And I remember a few times being like you left your whole ass self back there. Go back and start over again. So it's like, now I can't, right? One, it's like ability wise, I just can't be running out the door like that. I gotta make sure I gotta do. So it's like sitting still and taking that time for myself is huge. Yeah. And then again, giving yourself permission, because you can sit down and you can hear all of that and then completely ignore it. Yeah. Exactly. Completely go the other way. So like that, and then, just testing boundaries too. Testing boundaries to say, okay, how does this feel? And then inching it up a little bit and then being like, okay, because it's like, again, it's hard to say no. Yeah. Although it can be addictive when you start doing it. Yes. You're like, oh, no.
It really can.
No. Like, oh, maybe not knowing that one. You're like, oh, no, wait a minute. So
I don't have the capacity is my favorite.
Okay. That's good. That's good.
I just don't have the capacity right now. My friend taught me that just because I just didn't know how to say no to people. I really didn't. And I just always came from a place of like serving others, because it also like it made me feel good too,
Sure.
To that like, but also like, why was it making me feel good? Like,
what
was
I
lacking?
Be available. That's that server
therapy session.
I mean, but that's the thing. It's like, really, honestly, like the hospitality industry, we need our own therapist. Good Lord Jesus, because this is like so much. Yeah. And how do you work this way in? Because like I always say, like nobody's grandma. If you were black or brown, your grandma, if she had boundaries, she created them from steel. Like a woman, I think about my grandmother. She was born in 1910. She was born in Oklahoma, and then moved to Kansas City, Kansas. And she got her master's.
Wow.
And I'm like, what?
Wow.
That's steel. Like, you were born from, like, concrete. Like,
seriously.
I don't know what.
Like, how did you do that? Wow.
To be able to be that strong, to grow up during that time and then have kind of goals and reach that, that's huge. Yeah. And so it's just thinking about, like, what it took for them and how much we can take for granted, even though we shouldn't, but we do. Yeah. And then filling out, like, okay, how can I level up and really, like, say, because at the same time, no matter how strong you are, being a woman, you have to straddle. Yeah. Being the source of comfort and life-giving abilities that you have to actually, like, having these boundaries to say, no, I have my own desires and stuff like that. That's a lot of straddling.
Yeah, it really is. And it comes with, I think, experience. You have to kind of experience first. But then it's like trying to lessen the amount of experience you have to go through to get to that. Yeah. Because, that's hard. Especially, I have 2 daughters at home, so I want to save them from this and, because you do have to experience a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Of trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
I mean, but
wouldn't take anything. I mean, like, they've been hard lessons. Yeah. But definitely want it. And then, again, having children and modeling these decisions in front of them, and it pays. It does pay. And it's like, Damon, it's funny because I have Damon and I have Love. And Damon's 34 and Love is 18. Yeah. Just turned 18. So watching them and how they have really, like, so much, like, based on, like, they make decisions based on what they know is right for them first.
Love it.
Which is like, okay, I did something. Yeah. But it's like, again, it was just so hard. But it's interesting watching, like, boys go through it, girls, the difference, the age difference and everything. It's a lot, but it's worth it. I think, now that I've been through this second cycle, take a little 2-minute break before we get to the 20s.
Is she into, like, the restaurant world?
I'm going to say it because she announced it yesterday at school. She is going to culinary.
She is.
She is. Wow. It's crazy. Like, I'm kind of just going to take a back seat. Okay. I'm just going to watch. That's the good thing about second-time parenting, which you will.
Oh, yeah.
You're seeing.
I'm like, this fourth baby is raising himself, okay?
Good luck with that. Yeah, exactly. And so, like, for me, it's like, I'm watching her and I'm like, good luck with that. Like, if that's what you want to do, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Right. Yeah. I like what I'm hearing so far. We'll see. I love that. And, Okay. She's in the kitchen.
SCA?
I don't know. Okay. She's thinking about South.
Okay.
So I don't know. Make your decision. I know I can say things. I'm not saying a thing.
Okay.
I'm not saying a thing. Wow. I'm just gonna make her do a tour. That's it.
Okay.
So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Just expose her too.
It's so funny. I mean, like, ultimately, she says she wants to go into fashion. Okay. So we'll see. Where will
she ends up. She's young. She's.
Take your time.
Take your time. Yeah.
My biggest motto for this age group is, why in the world are you rushing to get out into this world?
Right. Yeah.
Child, go to school forever.
Yeah, I know, right?
Okay, do whatever. Travel. Yes. Have fun. Figure out who the hell you are. Because whoever you've been up till now, that doesn't mean anything until you get to make the choice. Right. And you got to pay some bills. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then you'll figure out who you are.
Okay, yes, exactly. And then refigure it out. And then refigure it out.
Exactly.
It's always evolving, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Okay, but communion.
Okay.
Let's get back to...
I know. Communion.
You describe communion's food as Seattle soul. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So, with me being from Kansas City, like, I definitely grew up on soul food. Mm-hmm. I think that although we had other influences and stuff, that was primarily it. And so when I got here, I think that the biggest thing that I've walked away from is, like, that we're more alike than different. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, I can see how I could use that in this same technique. Let me try it. Like my dad in the bamboo shoes, he was just rocking it into everything he could. Spaghetti and bamboo shoes. Like, okay, okay. The crunchy with the soft noodle and the sauce. Oh, okay, Dad, you hit on something there. So it was just kind of like that was what we were doing. That's how I grew up once we moved here, was like just having all these different influences and everything. And I just appreciate all that I've learned from all the different cultures. And when I think about what I love or different techniques that I love, I just think about all these different cultures, and I've just been able to like exchange different things. And I always want to highlight where I got it from. I think that's really important. I helped write a cookbook for Seattle Center and the Festal, the 24 different celebrations they have at Seattle Center every year. And everybody contributed recipes, and I had to go and recipe test them, photo shoot, all the things. Super fun, hella crazy. But we did that, and one of the things that when they finished the book and we went to the meeting afterwards, they were like, you honored all of our traditions without washing them down. And I think that that's really where I feel like my strength is like I can highlight another culture and still introduce mine at the same time. So that's really Seattle soul.
I love that. I love it because I'm starting to be in a space and having conversations where it's like, what is authentic? Like what is authentic Brazilian food? And it's like not, you have to be like really strict and like in this box. And it's like, why? You really don't, you know what I mean? I think that as long as you are paying respect and telling, the story, the true story behind these dishes and kind of like honoring where they came from, like you can do whatever you want with it.
As long as you're ready for the kickback.
I know. That part.
There's the kickback. I
was going to ask how it, because are people expecting soul food when they come to communion? And how do you handle that? And then how do you handle these critics,
Thank goodness for being 50. Like it helps a lot because I don't give a fuck. Like I just like, it's like, when you want to do something, you should do it. How you want to do it, the way you want to do it, because then when somebody questions you, you're not going back and wondering what one would think if they were in your position. No, you can just say this is how I feel about it. So for me, it's like a lot of people come to the restaurant. We are travel to spot, which is such a privilege, right? It's amazing to me. I talked to a couple the other day, and they were like, yeah, this is our 2 times a year. We fly up here from Houston.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah.
But let the Houston people tell it. You need to go down to Houston and learn how to, no. This is Seattle soul.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's interesting. It's a lot of, people get angry because people get angry about food. I thought it was just black folks, but now I know it is absolutely not. I love it so much because when I hear the stories from the people, I'm like, it's not just us. But I just tell people, this is what we're doing. And we have a really hard line around making changes to the food. I don't allow it. I want you to experience it how I envisioned it. If you don't want it, then don't eat it.
Plain and simple, right? I love that. It has taken me a while, and I think, again, like you mentioned, it definitely comes with age where you just don't give a damn about what people, and you're more authentic to yourself, and you do what you want to do.
It's a self-care. It really is. It's like, again, if I try to use your voice, make you feel good, then what does that what does that do for me? Like, that doesn't do, and I'm not working this hard for you.
Right.
I'm not. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. And if it doesn't work out, then we'll see. Like a lady told me the other day, she was like, well, what you need to do.
No.
I love that.
No.
She was like, you need to take a list of all the people that said that they wanted this dish and bring it back when they say that. And I was like, yeah, okay. And her daughter, I loved it because her daughter was sitting at the table. She was like, she's not going to do that. She's not going to do that. I was like, you're right.
I'm not.
But thank you, Mom. I appreciate you.
I love it. But listen, the positive voices, I feel like, definitely outweigh, any little critics. I know that when I took my family the first time to communion, I could not stop hearing. I think my dad even like wrote you
Your
this like
dad
long love letter.
Me a letter, okay? And you need to understand,
and he's
right?
never done that, okay?
Okay, this was a big deal for me when your parents came, because when I used to go to the first time I went to the restaurant, I had never, like, I always have this idea when I was younger that I was Cuban. I was a Cuban woman from a past life, right? So like, I'm coming in and I'm like, well, maybe it's Brazil. Or maybe it's Vietnam. Like, I don't know. It's something. I've been somewhere else before. So I go into the restaurant, and I don't know who brought me to the restaurant. But it was just like one of those times where it was like an experience.
Yeah. Ugh, I miss that restaurant.
So much love, so much attention, so much care. Yeah. I had never experienced that before. So for them to eat my food and then give me, I could like, girl!
My mom was feeling it because it was her birthday and she brought her friends and everybody was raving. So she's like, yes, I know where to eat. And my dad was like obsessed, and he wrote the letter and then he like sent it to me. He's like, can you read and make sure, because he had to like translate it from like, he wrote it in Portuguese first, to really capture his heart and soul, translated it, and then like asked me to look at it. And I was like, girl, you're sending this to Chef Kristi.
Love that.
Okay,
so
and
much.
that's good, like, Dad. Send it off.
Oh my God!
But that's the power of food, and that's the power of your food. So don't change a thing.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, so what is next for the Brown Girl Cooks Communion?
Damon's on fire. Like, he's on fire, and I'm kind of slowing down the revamp. But he's on fire. He's got lots of things that he's working on. And we're just trying to put things. I think the first thing is we're working on a deli concept.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're working on that.
Okay.
And hopefully that will be a turnaround that happens really soon.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so just allowing people more access. I think that's a big thing. Again, like just making sure that we provide food that everybody can eat.
Yeah, because what's your motto? Everybody's got to eat.
Yes. Everybody's got to eat. Yep. And that was really, like, that came from that 13-year-old's paper, writing, telling me, well, Daddy, if you don't like this, just remember, everybody got to eat, right?
I love it.
I always have a job. And it's funny, even now, like, I think about it now. And I don't know how other people are processing what's going on politically right now in the world. But for me, I feel that my existence, like the existence that I have become accustomed to, is being threatened in a really like dark way. And I think, oh my God, like, how bad could it get? And then when I think about how bad it can get, I just remember everybody's got to eat. Yeah. Right? And it's like, no matter what, if you were able to turn back the hands of times in the worst of times, people were still eating. So that's really my saving grace most days. It's hard though.
It is.
It's a hard reaching thing. So yeah.
I try not, it can consume you if you go down that road. Yeah. So that's why I started this podcast, because I just felt, they're erasing our stories and we just can't. So I just wanted to create a platform that we can continue to keep our stories in the forefront.
Exactly. Because there's certain things that you're not going to be able to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, Chef, it was such an honor to have you. Thank you so much for joining and dropping so much knowledge. Number one, take care of yourself, folks, because the body keeps the score, so you definitely take care of yourself. I love that message. Thank you so much for sharing that and everything else with our listeners. And where can we find you on social media, website?
Social media, That Brown Girl Cooks. That's primarily where I'm at. And then occasionally on Communion. So that's me. I'm Instagram girl.
Yes. Yeah. And if you are in Seattle, make sure to visit Communion and the Little Brown Girl. Yes. And hopefully we'll be able to get some Black Eyed Pea hummus soon.
It's true. So stay tuned.
Definitely follow Chef Kristi on Instagram. All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Dishin Up Diaspora. Join us again next week. And again, subscribe wherever you're listening and leave an honest review.